clips that contain their own controls, such as buttons. Then you can take the movie clip and put it onto a timeline and it's all ready to go. In this case, each instance contains its own controls, its own action script as a complete unit. Okay, the start and stop examples are here. The start example has the controls on the main timeline, and they're controlling a movie clip that has no actions in it at all and just plays on its own. And the completed one, we moved the controls to be part of the movie clip, and we actually put two of those movie clips on the same timeline, scene one timeline that is, and we reduced the size of one. All the controls work the same in each one of these. It's just a matter of where we deployed the controls and how we use the movie clips. So let's get started, see how this works. So we'll open up the starting file. And you may want to save that under a practice name. And let's take a quick look at what we have inside. We've seen a lot of this before, but let's really quick. Inside the library we have our 4 buttons from the common library. They are on scene 1 on the controls layer. And let me just get the selection tool here. And then each one of these has an instance name, as you've seen before. And for example, the play button has a play underscore button, or the step backwards one says step next underscore button. We also have a rotating movie clip on the last layer, and it's got an instance name of rotating underscore MC. We actually aren't going to need this anymore, we'll see as we go. And in the library happens to be this red rotating rectangle rotating clockwise clip, and we'll get to see that a little bit more as we move along. And then just another quick look at the actions. So open up the actions panel, and inside of here we have the play button instance and the stop button instance and so on, talking to the rotating underscore MC instance of the movie clip from the library. We're playing it and stopping it and stepping it 1 frame forward, 1 frame back, next frame, pre-frame, are some of the actions that we've learned in the past. And we'll just test this just to make sure you know what it does. It automatically starts playing. There's no stop actions anywhere to stop this. And then the buttons do what they do. They step forward, step back, play, or stop the playback head for the movie clip. Okay, so let's get started. What we're going to do first is we're going to duplicate the movie clip. So this one is a movie clip. We know it does something, works fine, so we'll make a copy of it. So right mouse click in the library, choose duplicate. And we'll name this one by changing the suffix to say with buttons, and then we'll go ahead and edit it. And now we're editing this new clip, and this is the 120 frame rotation animation that we've seen playing. Now I know the layers we're going to need, so come down here to the animation layer and click the insert layer icon, and what we'll do is just call this one controls. We'll move the buttons to this layer. And we can see that it has a keyframe that runs all the way to the end, and we do want that because once we put the buttons here we want to see them through the entire animation. And one more layer, which will be our action script, and I'll just name this AS as an abbreviation, and the actions will only occur on the keyframe even though it extends to the end. We could shorten this. It wouldn't make any difference to what we're going to accomplish. Now we'll head back to scene 1 and click the controls layers only keyframe. And as a note, when you click a keyframe, it selects all the objects that are on that keyframe. Is an easy way to select them. And we're going to right mouse click and choose cut. Then we'll go back to our movie clip that we're editing, the one with the buttons, and we'll click on the controls keyframe, controls layer keyframe, and then we'll right mouse click over the stage area and choose paste. And I'm just going to use the shift and down arrow keys on my keyboard, and then the arrow keys, and just position these somewhat under the actual animated movie clip. And then we'll do is just select these. I want you to see that the instance names came along as we did the copy and paste. Next we want to bring the actions in, so we'll go back to scene 1 and we'll select the keyframe on the actions layer and open up the actions window, and I'm going to select everything. I'm going to use the shortcut key for this. It's Control A for Windows. You can do Edit and select all, and then I'm going to right mouse click and choose Cut. And then I'll go back to the library and go back to the red rectangle rotating clockwise with buttons. And it should say controls down here. If this pin happens to be one way or the other, it might need to be unlocked, but basically you want to be editing the first tab down here and then paste. And I'm going to undo that because I did not select the keyframe I wanted them on, so I use the undo key shortcut and click on the action scripts and then click in here, the action script frame and layer, and then I'll do paste again. And now I have the actions on the first keyframe of the action script layer for the movie clip. And what I don't need is the rotating _MC period anywhere, because we're going to play, stop, and step forward and step backwards on the same timeline. So I'm going to highlight these, and you might like to try the search and replace feature in this window. There's an icon up here with an spyglass on it, or a magnifying glass I should say, or Control F, and I have the text that was highlighted put in here automatically, and I'm going to replace with nothing. I'll just use the replace button and do these one at a time to be safe rather than replace all. And there we are, we did them all. So now we just have the actions without a movie clip name in front of them. And that's because we're controlling this timeline, the timeline that the actions are actually on, and the action script is on. So we're done with this. We can close the actions window. And let's go back to scene 1. And we can remove these layers that are no longer containing anything. So I'll just come down here to the layers panel and select each one and use the trash can icon to get rid of them. We don't need this movie clip. This is the original movie clip, and so we could swap it out with the one we're going to use. I'm just going to use delete on my keyboard and delete it. And I'm going to drag in the new one, the one with the buttons, and I'll put 2 of them on here. One on the left side, approximately center, and I'll drag another one in on the right side. And I'll use the shortcut key Q for the free transform tool and just reduce the size of the second one. And you can see all the controls are inside of the movie clip. I'll use the selection tool now. I'll just hit V to get rid of that, and you can see the buttons are repeated, and these are 2 separate instances. They run on their own, they have their own controls. So let's test the movie and you can see it work. And so each one of these is independent. We can stop one while the other's playing. We can step one forward, step one backwards. They run completely independent of each other. And we can use this movie clip over and over in this movie, or we can copy and put in other movies as we need. Let's go back and take a look at the movie clip that we built. And let me just position this over here. So this is what we built, and these are 2 instances of it. Well, you have multiple design options for building your movie clips, and what actions you put inside and what controls you put inside the movie clip versus what you decide should be outside the movie clip and only work with the instances will depend on your actual project needs.